Usually the South Korean movies I watch are the murder mysteries, while this is a murder mystery, but it's very, very different. Chase Liaki here at the Blue Futon. We're watching Next So-hee. What it's about? Pretty simple premise. You have a detective. She's like, doo-doo-doo-doo. She's very serious. Very serious. She's, a murder happens. Or is it a suicide? But she's like, what is going on with all these high scores kind of, dying suicides? Like, what is occurring? So she digs through. What's with the job she's at? What's with the high school she's at? What are they doing? Are they doing illegal activities? Yes. The answer is yes. What else do you want me to say? So to like this film, this is something different for, different audiences from other countries to look at. Because when you look at, work culture in like Asia, North America, South America, Europe, I'm not going to say Antarctica because I don't know if the work culture is there, Australia, Africa, it's very different everywhere you go. So seeing this is absolutely fascinating where in South Korea, there's these programs in high schools that go to these telemarket firms or these other firms. If they do a good job, grants get given to these high schools. So I'm like, that's interesting. That is how high schoolers or high schools themselves get money and go up in the ranks to get more funds. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But when this high schooler died because of too much stress, bullying, and just overall nonsensical shit, it opens Pandora's box. But it's one of those things that you open Pandora's box and you try to like cause chaos. Sometimes there's not a lot you could do because the system is too damn big. And that's what this movie really throws at you. Yes, the acting is superb. The story is very interesting. Like I said, maybe for the Western audience like me, I might find it more interesting than, the South Korean audience who's like, okay, I've seen this before. I've dealt with this before. But an outsider looking in, I'm like, that's interesting of how different schools get funding. In America, it's kind of the same way, but it's by scores, SAT scores, AP scores, which I think if you have a GPA over 4.0 is kind of bullshit because what's different than getting an A? Like an A plus is still a 4.0. So you're like adding different shit, and not all schools have AP classes. So it's kind of a disadvantage if you go to a better school that way. That's just in a westernized American culture. But in the South Korea one, it's very different of these grants, work culture. And if people think work culture in America is hard, holy shit. South Korea seems like it's 100 times worse. It's just a lot more painful. I don't know if painful is the right word, but it's just very different. But like I said, I'm a workaholic, so I don't mind working. When I was 16, I had 3 jobs, Majestic 12, Brookshire's, and Lowe's. So I was literally, in GameStop like once a week to just, get the deals. So I was a workaholic and I still love working. I don't like laziness. Laziness truly bothers the living shit out of me. But when we talk about this movie, it's a very interesting story, very interesting premise. It's a different murder mystery of how we are dissecting the culture of what is occurring in these companies in high school. If you could say some negative, there is a pacing issue. It is a 2 hour and 15-minute movie, and sometimes it is dragging. And you're like, what are we trying to do here? What's the point we're trying to go to? Which I understand they're trying to tell a methodical, slow story, but sometimes you do need to fill the gaps with something a little bit more interesting. I know that sounds kind of awful, and how we're trying to get to her backstory, her dancing, and these other dance members, and these 2 other guys that kind of know her that are at different jobs that had to move to different jobs because they didn't do good with the other high school grants. So like, okay, that kind of makes sense. That's kind of interesting, but what's the overall message? And people are not going to like the ending because I would not say the ending's ambiguous. It's just the closure just isn't what you're looking for overall in this movie. But overall, Next So-hee is an interesting movie that looks deeper into the subculture of high school and working culture in South Korea. And I think it's a very fascinating look overall. So Next So-hee will receive a 3.5 out of 5 with futons, which equals at 70%. To the correction, your scores gave this one. So critics a 93 with 14 of them. Audience scored nothing with fewer than 50. No critic consensus. So there you go. My 70 and 93. Chase Lock here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if things Futontopia. You Futonins. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And I don't care about this day tomorrow, week from now, month from now, year from now. I love every single freaking one of you. What's your worst trait in people? It could be laziness or it could be the slow walkers. Don't you hate being at like theme parks or on a sidewalk and there's just people just like not caring like about? It's like, cool, you're in your own bubble, But walk faster.